So one thing I want to explain a little bit about for you tonight is genre, right? Of what genre is Revelation. It is such a strange book. It's not like anything else we have in the New Testament canon, right? We do have the Gospels, which seem more biographical, Acts of the Apostles, which is a historical, kind of a biographical account of the church following Jesus' death. And then, of course, we have the epistles, Pauline epistles, and others as well. But Revelation is kind of this thing on its own. So what exactly are we talking about? And what genre can we fit it into? So Revelation itself has lots of different types of mini genres within it, right? So for one, we call it an apocalypse, right? And actually the whole genre called apocalyptic takes that label, that name from the first verse, first line of the Revelation of John, right? So it is, if you read Revelation 1:1, the revelation of Jesus Christ is the first phrase that you'll find in the Greek. Apokalypsis Jesu Christou is the first three words of the book. Right. And that word, apocalypsis, is taken then as the title of the genre and then kind of put on backwards through other ancient Jewish writings and then later Christian writings of the similar kind. So even the very name for the genre comes from the first verse of Revelation. But it also contains within the understanding that it is prophecy, right? So self-referentially, the book names itself a prophecy, right? Blessed is the one who reads aloud the words of this prophecy. So it is also aligning itself with prophecy we might find in the Septuagint, the Greek translation of the Hebrew Bible. So a part of a long Jewish tradition of understanding what prophetic word might mean, not just prediction, but also proclamation and warning of God's justice. We also have epistles, right? So it's kind of everything, right? We have the letters to the seven churches, and we have that in the first few chapters of Revelation. And we have with the epistle beginning lines of John to the seven churches that are in Asia, which recalls other ancient lines of epistles, right? And then also ending with the grace of the Lord be with all the saints, amen, at the very end of the book. Should remind you of some of the epistles of Paul, right? So it follows letter form in some parts of it as well. So here's another mini genre that is stuffed into this book. And then we also have, of course, the larger picture of different apocalyptic literature that have this symbolic vision. So for example, First Enoch, the book of Daniel, Second Esdras or For Ezra, and to Baruch. So we have these different ancient Jewish writings that we now also categorize as apocalypses and part of apocalyptic literature. So what is apocalyptic, right? Putting aside the micro genres that we do find within Revelation in its own reference to itself as prophecy, etc., what then can we say about this genre of apocalyptic? What do we mean? I mean, it is a category that we are placing on something from our viewpoint now, right? So we are looking back and constructing something by putting that label on it. So the texts themselves, Daniel, First Enoch, do not label themselves that way. And in fact, Revelation did not label itself that way. We're just taking the first line of it, right? The title that's put on later is not part of the text probably as it was written. It was added later. So this is a construct that we're putting on these particular texts. So